Okay, great.
Yeah. We have live.
Okay, great. Thank you. Welcome. We are live, and this is Senate Institutions on Thursday, January 29th, 2026. And we have 4 sections of the Capitol bill that we will be discussing. The first one is section 12, and that will include the environmental laboratory situation and the Big E. So we have several folks here. We'll introduce ourselves. I'm Wendy Harrison, Senator from the Windham District.
And Rob Plunkett, thank you.
Joe Major Windsor.
Russ Eagles, Essex Orleans. John Benson, Orange.
John Benson, Senator Benson is our newest member and very familiar with the, oh no, I'm sorry, John doesn't in the morning. So how would you like to start off? Who would like to go first?
Senator Miller, do Vale first, or want to do Benny first?
Let's do Vale, I guess.
Good.
Okay. Major, you know the drill. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
And so for reference, let's see where we are. Spreadsheet.
So I can send you note for Sharon. What section?
Section 12. Okay. Right, there's only 2 items on section 12, and both of them are going to be talked about today.
For the record, Joe Agent, Director of Design and Construction with Village and General Services. And we're here for the Vermont Agricultural and Environmental Lab, known as VALE, the heat plant. And so the lab was completed in 2019, and it uses heat, it gets its heat from steam heat from the central heat plant for Vermont State University in Randolph, so it was known as VTC back in the day. When we put that out to bid, we had a design that had 2 options. One was to connect to the college's heat plant or build their own heat plant. At the time, it was decided that it'd be less expensive to connect to the college's heat plant and get steam from there. What we didn't really know at the time was 2 issues. One was the autoclaves. The autoclave, the big autoclave that's the lab has, needs 50 pounds of steam pressure. The college does not run at 50 pounds of steam. They've overcome that. They cannot constantly maintain that. So that is one of the issues. The other bigger issue is they shut down during the summer. So the summer there's no steam going to the autoclaves. It was completely shut down to the autoclaves, to the building, or to humidifying and cooling. So they turned. Once we did this, they turned their boilers on. They had 1 of their large boilers. They had 3 operating. Problem is, because there was not a large call for steam, the boiler would start up and shut down, constantly cycling. And that shortens the life of the boiler. They also had times where trying to maintain just any steam to the lab was difficult. So we came back in 23. FY 23 with a design to put the heat plant in that we had originally designed. Once we were, of course, almost had a contract executed with a contractor, designed a contractor. The administration suggested that we look into doing something with the college's boilers and possibly summer boilers. So that's the route we are now headed in. Is summer boilers. So the 1 to 3 summer boilers installed inside of the college's heat plant. The reason for 1 for 3 is 1 for very low loads that you need, and also the peak loads. But that way, if you're not at peak, 2 could run. It will be. We're still in design, So it could end up with just about 55-60% of the load. So if one were to go down, we'd still be able to maintain a lot of that pressure during the summer, so the plant could still operate. We will also use the steam heat from the college in the winter. So how to deal with the 50-pound steam pressure? We're looking at installing local steam generators at the autoclaves to overcome that. That way we can lower the steam pressure coming off the boilers for the rest of the college campus. And the building itself can run it low steam pressure. So we reduce it. It's only there for the autoclave. Along those items, the boilers that we were looking to plan to install are oil-fired boilers. The existing heat plant is running off of number 4. The new boilers would be number 2 fuel oil. So we're going to use this money for also is get the college, instead of adding another tank or 2 for the summer boilers, would be to convert their existing boilers to number 2 boilers and replace the 20-year-old fuel tanks that are out there. The tanks may be in okay condition, a good condition. We're not sure until we got in and actually cleaned it out. But depends on the size of the tank or the contractor. It can take almost a year to get a new tank. So at the time of finding it out, that would not be a good idea. So we're planning on replacing them while we're there. The plan is to have everything done basically by Christmas of this year. First off, we'll be getting at least 1 summer boiler operating so that the college can shut off their boilers. Plus, we also got some work to do in their boilers. So that'll allow that early fall. We're requiring that one of the large boilers be operational. And then by the end of the year, have everything operational. In my appropriations and expended, I made an error in FY 2027 bond funds. There's not 1.5 million request in there. There's no request from FY 27.
Okay, so just to be clear, so on our sheet, it shows no request, so it's the slide.
It's a slide, it's minor.
Okay. So now you're saving $1.5 million.
Okay, I like that. Yes. Already right off the top.
So this, to me, this feels like the 3rd try.
Yes, but
Is,
it's still a good way to go. We were looking to do chips down there. And also propane boilers for backup. This way, the campus wins and we win. We're still, they're using their heat plant during the winter months. We benefit off of that. It keeps all 3 of their boilers at load. And then the summer boilers, when they shut down, we'll still be able to operate and be just fine.
and the funding is the same.
Correct.
So this is basically an update on your operations and how you're doing something different, but
Correct.
you're managing the project in a different way.
Yes.
Any other?
So
Yes.
curious, the number 2 was more expensive than number 4. So was the efficiency and the boilers make up for the differential in cost?
I don't know exactly to say yes or no to that. But there's less sulfur going in there because of number 2, and we're going to the summer boilers. So the turn down ratio of that should be less in the long run. Exactly when that break-even point is, I don't know.
And we had some testimony on this in our other committee with 2 other gentlemen across from me. And the amount of work they just done in that lab, I thought I had it, I tried to pull it up, but it's unbelievable how much work is done in that lab. And from what we've heard before in the past, the inconsistency of that steam that's not going there, they just get these tests right where they need to be. And then most of them are temperature sensitive. And once the temperature is gone, everything that they've done gets thrown away because you can't keep it at a consistent temperature. So, but anyways, I thought I had the number. I do someplace. I just can't pull it up. Very busy lab and very neat place to go. If anybody hasn't been,
Yeah.
you should go there.
Field trips are good. And that's the main, agricultural laboratory, right, in the state?
It is.
Yeah.
Along with weights and measures and on the list goes.
Pretty cool.
So you have all the certification that you're required to have, I'm sure. I'm just curious, but
Yes, yes. I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Cheryl Achilles. I'm the Vail Lab Director. I guess pitch hitting with Joe. Yeah, so I think, Senator, the number you're looking for is roughly 35,000 tests annually that we do.
Okay.
The tests that
They're
are,
gonna be easier to ask you.
yeah, the biggest pinch points for us is in organic chemistry. We have a room that has very highly sensitive instruments that cost about $250,000 to $350,000 a piece. So there's over $1 million worth of equipment in this one room that needs to be really temperature controlled. The second place is in weights and measures, which is down on our bottom floor. And they do all the hydrometers for maple syrup testing right now. That's a big deal. But they also do weights that people drop to get calibrated and things like that. So when things are not controlled, so if it's too humid in the labs, the weights get heavier. So the measurements are off, and vice versa. If it's not humid enough, weights lose weight, so to speak. So those are the two areas. And the third one I'd argue is our phosphorus testing lab. So we use one of those autoclaves to perform digestion, step one, to get the available phosphorus out of the sample. And so when we don't have steam pressure, we can't run the autoclave to do that first step. So that's one of our higher volume tests for the analytical lab.
that's very interesting. I thought a lot of water treatment plants have their own labs, but do you do water treatment with wastewater treatment samples? Or I would think you wouldn't do that, but
Well,
Maybe.
looking to the future, we're trying to partner with DEC. So the wastewater folks are looking to do PFAS testing out of there. So we have method 533, which is the drinking water. And we're working on the other method that's popular, which is 1633. So those two, that would be a high volume test coming into the lab as well. And then State College is there looking to partner with us to do a study on how PFAS travels through the environment. They haven't received that funding yet through the National Science Foundation, but if that comes through, that would be another high volume test for us.
it's great. Yeah,
And-
because PFAS is really hard to say.
Yes, yeah, and that seems to be like the new shiny thing that people are concerned about. So sure, we will be ready in the spring to do those.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Had to work on the permits for that facility. So
Oh, good. And so this upgrade will be complete this year.
Yes.
That would be great. Okay. All right. Well, this sounds good. Are there any more questions? Okay. So thank you very much for being here. Appreciate it.
we're going far from Europe.
I think I'm waiting in the Zoom waiting room. So yeah, for the record, I'm Trevor Lowell. I'm the Assistant Director of the Development Division at the Agency of Agriculture. And we'll talk a little bit about the Big E. And we'll remodel the building. So thanks for having us here today. I just want to start with some gratitude towards the agency team that manages building this event, and the great partnership that we have with BGS, also Department of Tourism, Department of Labor, a lot of state partners that touch the Vermont building and are part of the Big E Fair. And it's, it's a point of pride for us, kind of the strength of that partnership. You're not sharing if you're gonna. No, thanks. Okay. This looks better.
Good eye. We just the.
Yeah, I think it's just loading. Well, I can keep going as this. So the Vermont building is located in Springfield, Mass, on the fairgrounds of Eastern States Exposition. It is part of the Avenue of the States, which is kind of an event within an event. So the building is primarily and almost exclusively used for to support this event. So we use it as a public market space, and okay.
That's where you're going.
Yeah, so quick history. The fair started actually in 1916. Joshua Brooks had this idea to try to bring the National Dairy Convention back from Wisconsin back to the Northeast. That kind of evolved into him engaging all the various New England states and inviting them to set up their own building on the ground. So Vermont, I think, was the third New England state that opted in. All New England states now have a building on the fairgrounds. Each New England state owns that little plot of land and that building. So it's quite a unique asset in the state portfolio, because I think it's the only state building that actually exists outside of the state boundaries, but it is fully owned by the state. We'll talk a little bit about how that affects things like code compliance and whether we're aligning with Vermont code or Massachusetts code. The building was built in 1929, so we're just a few years away from the 100-year anniversary of it. So we've been really targeting that date as a date to try to get this building up into a really impressive state. The Big E is a massive event. It fluctuates every year as far as the population, how many folks attend, but it's 17 days. It starts in the middle of September and typically runs to the first couple of days of October. They get it's fourth or fifth largest fair on any given year in the nation. So I think the peak attendance was 1.7 million people in 2022. And it's not uncommon to see more than 100,000, 150,000 people a day come through the gate at the fairgrounds. It's also a major hub for a lot of youth ag and equestrian events. So all of our Future Farmers of America, our 4-H kids, folks that are showing horses, showing cattle. A lot of that happens during the fair, but it's also happening year round down there. So it's a big hub, and we support all the activities that are going on with that during the fair as well. This gives you a sense of kind of where it's located geographically. Again, we're in Springfield, Massachusetts, so we are, decent, easy driving distance from a lot of major metro areas. We did a demographics marketing study a few years ago to kind of look at who's coming to the fair, where are they coming from, and what we know from that is that the majority of folks are coming from Mass and Connecticut, with a much smaller portion coming from Vermont, Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island. I mentioned this partly just to kind of demonstrate, again, this is attracting people from markets that are very appealing to a lot of the businesses that we support through this fair. So we really think and utilize this building as a platform to give businesses, exposure to new markets, to get their brand out in front of a lot of different people, and take advantage of all that foot traffic. So, as I mentioned, the Avenue of States, every New England state has one of these buildings. They're all lined up along the kind of eastern side of the fairgrounds. It's really unique in that it's the only event that is not run by the organization that runs the fair. So we are close partners with them, and we do a lot to make sure that, everything from public safety to, compliance and regulations, tickets, parking, all that, we work really hand in glove with them. But we are our own operation, and Ag is in charge of the programming, of the contracts, of managing the building. And then again, partnerships with BGS around maintenance and upkeep. So we'll see in this place. This is the inside of the building here on a pretty typical weekend day. And it shows you one. That's a little funky. But this is not atypical at all. I mean, this is kind of what it's like in the building, probably 60-70% of the time, shoulder to shoulder, packed full of folks. We did that same marketing study I mentioned. We looked at how many people who come through the gates of the fairground also visit the Avenue of the States, and what they found is about 94%. So you can more or less assume that if you've got 170,000 people that are coming to the fair that day, you probably got 165 coming through the Vermont building as well. This slide just shows our 2025 vendors. We had 29 different businesses come and vend with us in the building. Most of these folks are here for the full 17 days. Some we do half day or half fair contracts where we'll do a turnover kind of mid-fair. It's a big undertaking. So what we found is that to sign up kind of for your first year and come in and try to do all 17 days has been a lot. So we're trying to create some different on-ramp opportunities for these businesses. But we push hard with our outreach, and then we have a competitive application that's open right now every year. So when people apply to Ben, we have a review committee where we look through, score those applications, and really look through what openings we have, and we might be a good fit. And we really strive to balance out our vendors across a number of metrics. So the different types of products they have, the different areas that they're located in. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second.
If you can go back, the review process, what does that entail? And two, what's the length of time that a vendor is committed to go to the fair?
Yeah, so it's a competitive application. We have a grants management system called Web Grants that we use for all the grants within the development division. So people apply online through Web Grants. We ask a series of questions about the business that relate to the goals that we're trying to accomplish. So how does this event align with your sales and marketing and your growth? What kind of business are you? Where are you located? How many folks do you employ? And then we look at the openings that we do have, and we try to figure out, we don't want 15 maple syrup producers in the building. We want a balance there. We also, again, want to balance out the geographic representation. So we get a lot of more interest from Southern Vermont, which makes sense. It's a much easier commute. It's easier to full staff down to an event like that if you're in Bennington than if you're in Grand Isle. But that being said, we've done a really nice job of kind of getting the word out, trying to pull folks from all over the state. And then there's a review committee. So we have a scoring rubric where each application is reviewed by 3 different folks. Those scores get aggregated. And then there's a discussion meeting where the reviewers all come, look at the scores, and then kind of have that discussion around like, okay, these guys scored really high, but it's another maple syrup producer. We've already got that represented. So, maybe want to look at something else.
And length of commitment?
We do 1, 2, and 3 year contracts. We typically start people with a 1-year contract. I like to make sure that, it's a good fit for them. It's a good fit for us. It's pretty unique. A lot of businesses who come down, they get excited and then they're like, holy cow, this is like nothing I've experienced. So we do our best to support them, but there's really nothing that can replace actually going down and doing the event. So
If at the end of the year or the 2 or the 3 year, you have to reapply or?
Yeah, once your contract is up, you have to reapply.
I guess I'm surprised if Pavitt isn't on there. Has Pavitt not been on there for a while? That's your.
We have a vendor, so he's a private individual who works with Cabot and he wholesales their cheese down. Or he retails it, but he has a wholesale relationship with Cabot. He does a couple other products. He's tried with primarily Cabot cheese, and they make a special cheese for him that he labels like a markets as a Biggie special. So we've talked to them a little bit, but I think this, it works pretty well for them. They get their product down there, they get that exposure, but they don't have to deal with the logistics and the staffing and all of that. This vendor who does it has been doing it for a very long time. He took over from his parents who had been doing it. So I think he's probably been in that booth space a lot, 20 years, 5 years.
Senator Benson.
Have you got any way of measuring how much business actually is generated by the individuals who present at the fair?
So the way that we capture revenue is through commission. So we charge 15% commission.
Forgive me, I meant for them. So they're selling their wares to 1 million plus people who
Right.
come through. I was just curious whether you've been able to determine how much business they are then able to generate from people who have come and tested their products at the fair.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, so we know the sales numbers, which we track daily, and then we do a follow-up survey with all of our vendors. Where we're asking questions around like, did you develop any new wholesale accounts? Did you see any increase in online sales after the fair? So we're trying to capture those metrics after the fact, but some of them are, somewhat intangible because the causal relationship between being down there and how much your online sales increased over those months up to Christmas. We like to take credit for some of that, but we know that it's a variety of factors that feed into it.
I know a couple of the vendors that have been there, just to protect them and their business models and all that. Ken's pretty big about that. It says that this fair is a difference of whether they're profitable for the year or not.
When you go to can you go to the next slide? Because I just wanted to make a comment because I gotta go, but the front is to the right. Is that right? Or
That's
front to the
so over
left?
here on the right side. So that's the front facade of the building. Actually, most people come into the building through that top right entrance there, which we call
Yeah.
the Connecticut side. And for whatever reason, there's just this established traffic flow.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way that fair
Like how?
come through. Exactly. They do a big horseshoe. What's not represented well is this back patio. So that's kind of white void on the left there. There's a concrete slab. We have food trucks and another vendor
Yeah.
who's inside of a shed. So people come in, kind of go down the line, go in the back, circle up and come back out and then exit.
Yeah. I just want to comment on something. Because the Green Mountain concessions, the line it would be off the screen. But I really wanted it. I think it was cotton candy. But so I thought it's gonna take forever. They get people through really, really well. And the crowds are immense, but people love Vermont and you do a great job.
Thank you. Yeah. So this was our vendor layout for this year. VMSMA, that's the Vermont Maple Sugar Makers Association. They've been in the building since the 70s. I think this is their biggest fundraiser of the year by far. And then pretty much everybody else is a private business. We've had a lot of talks with folks like the Cheese Council, the Brewers Association about, potential opportunities in the future to be down there. That's a really nice model for us where we get to support a producer association that then the revenue that they make then goes out to support all of their members and that whole industry. We also at the front there, you see Vermont Tourism. So they're kind of our front of house, which is a really nice aspect to have them capturing people that come in the front door and that side entrance. They encounter them first. They're signing folks up for the foliage report. They're getting information. They're helping them plan their vacations, answering questions about relocating to the state. So this slide is just showing our 5 big goals of what we're trying to accomplish with the building. Some of them are pretty straightforward: make it safe, make it enjoyable experience for fairgoers, offering that diversity of products that really speak to what Vermont is about, speaks to our culture, our heritage, our values, supporting Vermont businesses with that market access, that brand awareness. Promoting Vermont as a destination, again, those partnerships with DOL, partnerships with tourism, really getting people excited about the state, leveraging this platform that we have. And then this fifth one being the commission revenue. So over the year, the commissions have supported, you know, both staff that it takes to run the event, and then also has put a lot towards maintenance of the building. The years and years of deferred maintenance has resulted in a lot of kind of emergent needs and for maintenance issues that we're often using that revenue source to backfill for. This is gives you a sense of that back patio. So you can see there's two food trucks here. And then in this awning here, that's actually a shed, an outbuilding where there's another vendor. This has been somewhat recent. It used to be pretty much all seating back there and just that shed. It was pretty sleepy and not a lot of activity. A couple of years ago, we brought in the food trucks. We started kind of building that out. And now it's been very successful to have these folks. The broccoli bar on the left there with us a couple of years ago, they've actually kind of graduated out into the fairgrounds. So that's another nice story. They, you know, started with us, they got a sense of the fair, and now they're doing their own thing out on the fair. We've been able to bring in a business in to support that person successfully. Yeah. I didn't think broccoli was going to be the thing, but people were actually.
Your typical fair.
Yeah, I was surprised, wasn't it? That shed I mentioned. So this is Alex Schumann. She owns Vermont Marshmallow Company. She started with us a couple years ago and kind of begrudgingly took that shed vendor spot. It was never a very appealing spot for a lot of folks because the traffic flow was a little bit out of the way. But she took it and ran with it. She makes from scratch marshmallows. They are really incredible. So far afield from like your Jiffy, version, campfire version. And she got some attention, some media attention that first year where Mass Live wrote her up as the best new food at the Big E. Mm-hmm. And immediately after that, the next day, people were just lined up. And since then, she has, become an institution at the fair. People are coming, seeking her business out. They're like, I got to go get my marshmallow. And you can see here, it's really been a huge boom to her business and allowed her to really expand, to increase wages and hiring and achieve a lot of the goals of her business growth that she had. Just give you kind of a sense of our building sales over the year. So 2020 was the first time since World War II that the fair didn't happen. They canceled it because of COVID. Mm-hmm. And then 21 was kind of a build back year. We had a lot of vendors that still weren't comfortable being in a big public environment. So we had a partially full building. But then we really started to kind of pick up steam in 22 and 23 and have been really successful. Some of this is playing with the space, adding more, kind of squeezing more juice out of it, being able to fit more businesses in and support them. A lot of it was the addition of those food trucks. But a lot of it is also working with the vendors to help them with their strategies. So we brought in consultants who do a lot with like trade show and marketing events and helping them set up their booth and maximizing their sales strategy. And just finding that right balance of understanding what the customers want while also trying to, again, balance those needs and goals around the diversity of products. This just gives you a sense, our sales used to pretty much track right along with attendance at the Big E. And then in 2022, when we started doing more with the back patio and the food trucks and kind of implementing some of the strategies that we had, we really saw the sales start to divorce a little bit from that attendance line. So it's still driven very much by that. You see that dip from 24 to 25. That's probably because there were just fewer people at the fair. It was marshmallow. And so it's just some of the programmatic challenges, and Jessica will get into this a little bit in more detail, but from an operations standpoint, this building's nearing 100 years old. There's been years and years of deferred maintenance, and a lot of the efforts to keep going and keep the lights on have been somewhat Band-Aid efforts, right? The roof is leaking. We got to fix it a little bit here, a little bit there. So one of our big major issues right now, we have 300 amps service to the building. We're operating right on the threshold of maxing that out pretty much every day of the fair. So we work really closely with our vendors. We monitor every appliance they bring in for their booth. We, calculate all the wattage and voltage and try to make sure that we're not gonna go over that. Years ago, we had panels catching fire, real issues with that. So it's a major limiting factor for us as far as what we can bring in and support the type of businesses. Food and beverage businesses definitely are limited by this. So that's a huge challenge. We've had lots of leaks over the years, plumbing issues, toilets that have leaked down into vendor booths, some really unfortunate stuff. We're, really making a lot of good progress on that. We've got a new slate roof on the front part of the building. And it's starting to get excited about seeing some of these changes manifest. But that's, remains to be an issue. The ADA accessibility, there are 2 vendor staff restrooms in the building. They're not open to the public, but we are required, to have them for our vendors and our staff. They're at the top of a double staircase. And so, we have some older vendors who we are now having to take them in a golf cart to some other, they need to use the restroom. They got to flag staff down. We got to go down to the floor, help them get into a golf cart, take them to a different building so they can use the restroom. So we would, love to be able to have modern facilities that are compliant with ADA. The visible decline, the distorted aesthetics, again, there's 1.6, 1.7 million people who are coming into this building and really like seeing it as a little slice of Vermont, a little slice of the Green Mountain State. So really presenting that in the best possible light is a big goal of ours. And, I'm very biased. It's a beautiful building. It's a little bit funky. You walk through and what's happened is like vendors have modified booths over the years. We've done a little bit here, a little bit there, but there hasn't been a real strategic wholesale approach to kind of setting up the floor to maximize traffic flow, maximize booth utility for vendors. So, we're kind of patching it together a lot of times and limited. May have a vendor we're really excited about, but we don't have a booth that can support their needs because of a lot of these limitations. And then just some pictures of that. You can see this is one of the restrooms. There's another one on the other side of this mezzanine area. You can see the stairwell there that people have to come up to get in that. These are windows on the front of the building. So you're walking in and seeing this is, some of what the aesthetics are kind of showing to folks. This is a dry storage area, which has leaked. The staircase goes up to a roof access skylight, which leaked down to this dry storage area. Some of the trim and the rod issues that are pretty common around the building that are, again, starting to get cleaned up. It's really nice to see it come in. So this will be my last slide. I'm going to hand it off to Jessica in a second here, but just to kind of give you a sense of, what's upcoming with the funds that we do have and the projects that are underway. Again, some of those challenges and what we're trying to do. One point I've made before and I'll make again, I looked a couple of years ago at the visitor numbers for all of the state's visitor centers. The Guilford Center is by far the busiest. The Vermont building gets 3 times as many visitors in 17 days as the Guilford Center gets in a year. Wow. So if the Vermont building was a visitor center, would make up 60% of the foot traffic of every single visitor center in a year. So it's, it's just concentrated in 17 days, but it really does have a huge impact. And it really is selling Vermont to a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. So the business support, but again, having tourism there, having DOL there, having a lot of different nonprofits and partners that are all kind of celebrating Vermont and getting the word out about it. So I'm happy to take questions or get out of the way, make space for Jessica.
Do we have questions? No, it's terrific. You guys do a great job.
Thanks.
I was gonna present this one.
Right.
I'm Jess Pine. I'm a Buildings and General Services Project Manager and architect. I've been working with the Agency of Agriculture on this building since probably 2018. In that time, we've done a lot of planning because this renovation was started with a long list of deferred maintenance when I came on. And this recognition that the fair has changed over time. The vendors there the vendor turnover and the vendors that come into the fair, and the needs have changed as with the rest of the world. So when we're doing planning, we're thinking about the visitors and the vendors and the experience that they have, as well as overall maintenance and the systems and functionality. So in your kitchen needs to function, and that does change over time. You can see that the request to date with this biennium included is 6 million, and we have spent 3 million on phase 1. And the balance remaining is 2.9 million. And I didn't mention our 100-year celebration, but that was something that one of the other buildings on the avenue celebrated 2 years ago. Massachusetts had their big celebration. They got a lot of more press, and this building too will be celebrated. And our goal is to complete before then. Phase 1, some of these improvements were visible this year at the fair, but the remainder will be complete and the exterior completely restored with a few outliers by this year. So it's great. It's already looking much better. That included the full replacement of the slate roof, and ongoing repairs consist of the cupola, the masonry, siding, painting, and ornate woodwork. We're 75% complete. We will, the only things remaining for the exterior restoration will be rear window openings, and door openings, and a flat roof that's in good condition. So phase 2, we're going to be moving to the functionality and the operations in the building. It's a mechanical and electrical renovation, and most of the work is electrical, starting with the service, which is undersized right now, and getting into all the panels in the building, which are overloaded, end of life, and often situated such that you can't access them. So it includes that. We will be changing the floor plan on the first floor to include an ADA restroom, and working on the overhead doors at the back of the building, which are also in midlife. This includes plumbing code requirements that were cited in many years ago. That's part of this building being a Vermont building in the state of Massachusetts. We were cited with a lot of code issues when they decided that we must follow their code after years and years of established practice of following Vermont code. So some of the plumbing has to be replaced, and that includes flooring. So phase 3 is continued work on the interior rehabilitation, including bringing an ADA kitchen to the first floor as well. That's for vendors only. Restrooms and kitchen are just for vendors. We'll be continuing with the building systems, which is the remaining electrical finishes that have been deferred maintenance, food service improvements, doors, and of course, where we can, improving the visitor and vendor experience. And key opportunities to increase utilization on the site. So
Challenging.
yeah.
You put people on other people's shoulders. So,
Well, there's a side patio. The
Yeah.
sides have a lot of opportunity
yeah,
and a lot of great ideas.
people are on the front lawn too. I mean,
Yeah,
Yeah, there are
Front
2
lawn.
days Eastern States doesn't allow us to have vendors on the front lawn, but for these two special days, Vermont Day and Harvest New England Day. But on those days, I'm going to talk about the 29 businesses that we support throughout the fair. That doesn't include the ones that come for those one-off days, which are really nice opportunities if you want to interested in the event, but it's a little bit too big of an apple to take a bite of. You can come for that single day, and just kind of do that pop up.
Yeah, then that's when I was there. It was
Yeah.
pretty intense.
Yeah, it seems like there's exponential opportunity, right? You guys opened up the back, used
Yeah.
it more, got more revenue.
Yeah, that side patio is a
Mhm.
great example of an area that we keep thinking, you know, there's more opportunity here, more ways to support more businesses.
Yep, so with the remaining funds that we have and the FY 27 request, we are planning to get through design and construction of phase 2. Phase 3 was mentioned, but we will only be started into design. And we hope to present where we are with that next year. Because of this, the schedule, we're hoping to hire the construction manager for both phases through completion, because fiscal year 2027 is not the final request. We'll be asking for more in FY 28. The final schedule show is on the far right. You can see an orange bar. That's the Centennial. That's our end date, and the green bars are construction. Blue bars are design. So we're completing our design on phase 1 in June of this year. While we're doing design of phase 2, then we move to phase 3, which there's a lot of time just in contracting. But that continues because it includes major electrical equipment. That equipment will be a year out when we start that contract. So that contract goes much longer than the one that we're actually spending in work that we're doing in the building. That's really a 4-month period. And then I'm just pointing to where we'll be when we come speak with you next year. If we're invited.
You're
Oh, thank you. I was about to say
A key part of
exactly.
it. Yeah.
hers.
Yeah. So. And having your involvement in the design of phase 3 and setting that budget is going to be really key to us performing this before the Centennial.
So it looks like everything has been generally on budget and on schedule. Is that accurate?
It's on budget. On schedule. This first phase was slowed down. We found in construction, it's not surprising with the age of the building, but there was additional structural work at these side balconies, right at the entrance and exit where everyone walks through. These were supported by thin paint. What more did you ask for? And so there were areas that needed structural improvements as we went along the way, and the design team had.
Terrific. It's a challenge.
Yeah, and I'll just add, if anyone's interested in coming down, we're happy to facilitate either during the fair. We also are down there in the summer. We have our vendors down for a couple of days for construction days. They can get in the booth and work. But we're happy to facilitate for that for you guys. I think it's, really does help to get eyes on it and get a sense of what's happening. Because it's something else.
Who would you suggest the best time if you were going to do
It kind of, if you want to see like the full dog and pony, like come on Vermont Day, you'll get a sense of like how many people we're talking about and what that experience really is. I will say it's overwhelming. If you're anything, any part of you is a little bit of an introvert, it's a scary time to be up. So you're just shoulder to shoulder with people who hold that.
And the highway is nuts too.
Yeah.
So if you do go early, yeah.
But if you come on a Monday or a Tuesday, it's typically much more reasonable. And you probably have a little bit more time to talk.
It's a Tuesday. You want to go on Vermont Day. You want to
That's what I thought.
and then take a trip to the Basketball Hall of Fame. And Golden, that's right. Well, you won't have time because you'll be at the.
I will, you might, I won't.
Yeah.
And so the year after next will be the centennial. Yeah.
I'm just curious, is the fairground, do they have any other major events over the course of the year that you might be able to capitalize on?
We've talked a lot about this over the years. One of the main challenges, it's not heated or cool. So during the summer, there may be some opportunities. The fairground certainly does. They just started doing a couple of years ago this Hooplandia event. So they're kind of this big like 3-on-3 basketball tournament that they do. They have a lot of ag events interspersed in between there. They do trade shows. They have a big trade show building that they kind of try to make use of. So I think there is certainly opportunity, and I think we'd like to explore that. But it's a little, like it's a little hard without the, the public is coming there for a gun show or something. I think, would we do something in the Vermont building to complement that? Or are there other ways that we can kind of take advantage of that? I mean, the real opportunity has been just the throngs of people who are there for the fair. But I think it's a great question and something that's definitely in our conversations a lot of like, what else could be done to try to maximize this building?
Great. Okay. So, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you next year.
Or we'll see you at the fair.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
If you can spot us. So Joe, you're staying for the next item also. That's
That is correct.
like you. So do you want a 5-minute break? Yes,
You might as well be.
we're taking a 5-minute adjournment. Please.